You are listening to Two Heels and a Face Wrestling Podcast, a podcast where we believe wrestling is a buffet and there's something there for everyone. Make sure you're following us on all social media such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook under Two Heels and a Face. That's number 2, Heels and a Face. Make sure you check out our website, twoheelsandaface.com.
Era, 2 heels and a face.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Twos and a Face Wrestling Podcast. Chris, episode 290. Are you feeling the
end is near.
The end is near. Are you feeling it? The 300 is right around the corner. Like, I made a video I put on Instagram. We have a lot of these episodes already spoken for, right? Like a lot of ideas that are on our checklist or our final to-do list for the podcast. How are you? And like, just how are you feeling about all that?
Good. I'm doing good. I'm doing well. And it feels surreal sometimes, right? Just, to even look at the list of things that we have left to do, and the episodes that are upcoming, right? I think we talked a little bit about like things that we want to do before the end of the pod, and this episode is one of those things. So definitely looking forward to those remaining episodes and just seeing how we end the year, right? And we keep saying like it's the end of the pod. We don't know what happens after. The website will be up, and Charlie might want to write a blog here and there, and I might jump in there once in a while. But for now, it's just gonna be us getting to 300. After that, it'll be just Charlie and Chris going to wrestling shows with no recaps, no snack size episodes. It would just be, drink those Modelos and enjoy wrestling like always.
Yeah, it's just going to be content-free viewing experience, which I think when we go to shows, we enjoy. But I'm always on the notes app, just like trying to recollect.
Somebody has to.
Exactly. I'm sure there's people too that will appreciate not us posting about booking decisions or 5 takeaways about a freelance show, et cetera, et cetera. I won't say anyone's names, but yeah, it's just, we're just going to be ourselves still. It's not that we're not going to stop coming to wrestling. It's just that we get more time back in our week, and we're going to keep the page up or the site up, like you said, but also the Instagram page. I think I'm just going to start sharing everything. Like
there's so many things that we've had in the queue also. So yeah.
It'll just be a sharing page, all other podcasts, anytime someone cuts a promo, et cetera, which we already do now, but it's just going to just be that. So it'll be, our followers will still have some stuff to look at. So, but on today's episode, this is an episode. This is a celebration. I've been calling it a celebration of GPA. I think that's really what it is. This is an idea we had. We're going to do it with another wrestler as well, but it is an idea we kind of had because it is our last year, and we just want to kind of look at some of the best freelance matches that we have seen either live or like reminisce on some good times or stuff that we even haven't seen. There's a whole bunch of freelance lore that took place before Chris and I even got to the bottom lounge that fateful day. So that's what this episode is about. This is the best of GPA, specifically at Freelance. Now, he's wrestled other places, and he's had some awesome matches in different places. But this is a accumulation of some of his best work at Freelance Wrestling. So that's where we're going to jump around. We're going to share. This is best viewed on YouTube. We're going to share a screen. We're going to look at some IWTV, like the start of a match, and then we might jump to the end, probably jump to the end of a match. And we have Geoff, GPA, here as well to give his take on everything.
Hello.
Can you hear the welcome backs or no?
No, I can't. But which is appropriate because do I deserve them really?
That's what Lainey couldn't hear them either because we just had Lainey on the pod. Lainey couldn't hear them either, and she thought we froze because we were like waiting for the welcome backs to take place, like the chant to end, and she's like, "Hello, are you there?" It's like, "No, we're here." But yes, welcome back, GPA. How have you been, man? Like, how's life lately? I know you recently just got back from an injury, right? And like, are you back into the swing of things?
Yeah, it's been an up and down year because I got hurt basically around Thanksgiving last year. Got surgery shortly after that. It was a torn bicep tendon. I was actually good to go basically in like April of this year. But as I'm finding out, just with the fast moving world of indie wrestling, pro wrestling, like I figured I could just kind of settle back into my little routine that I had going. But man, there's just been so much going on in terms of new talent and new directions that like I'm kind of just trying to find my footing again. So I've been good to go for a little while, but I'm back into the swing of things now at Freelance, and I'm starting to pick up steam other places. So so physically I've been good for a while, but career wise, I'm just kind of now starting to get my feet back under me.
Yeah, so many. Yeah, I'd say your mainstays at Freelance, right, are very different than maybe even before your injury. Ali has opened up a school, so that's throwing, and I think that's really helping the scene as well. But speaking of training, you're also training like pretty much full time right now at the Freelance Academy, right?
Yeah. So we, and even that has been kind of a whirlwind. So I've been a trainer with Freelance for I think a little over 2 years now.
Okay.
And so I usually have 1 day a week, usually on the weekends, Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, which has been very fulfilling, and I love it. And I'm glad that I was given that opportunity, because like I joke with a lot of the more veteran guys that I see, where when you start your career, it feels like you're looking around at all these guys that have been there and done that, and you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And then it's like you go to sleep one day and you wake up the next day, and all of a sudden everybody around you is 18, 19, and you've been wrestling for 10 years, 15 years, whatever, and all of a sudden you become the old guy, and like all the old guys have disappeared around you, and now you are that old guy. So, but I'm glad now that I'm in a position to pass down what I learned. And, it's not that I've been everywhere and done everything, but even the little that I've done is so much in comparison to people that are just starting out. So, like I'm in a position now to train. I do that 1 day a week. The school itself is doing pretty well. We're trying to figure out some venue and kind of permanency things. We've had some difficulty like locking down a single location, so not accepting new applicants at the moment, but the school is up and running. We're working with the people that we have, and then hopefully going into next year, we'll have kind of a more welcoming and permanent environment. But yeah, things have been going well in that respect too. I'm happy to be in that position.
Yeah. What's your curmudgeon level at right now? Are you like these gosh darn kids, or are you more like, well, I guess this generation's doing a little bit differently, but like, let me tell you what I've learned?
So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm probably at like a 6, leading towards a 7.
Okay.
And so I don't say that in a sense that I'm like mad or frustrated with the kids or anything, but it's more so like kind of an overall view of the wrestling industry and the young people coming in, and because like I feel like I'm in a fairly reasonable position to be a trainer because I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've worked with some of the best, and like I'm not just Joe Schmo that's never left my city. Like I feel like I know a thing or two about a thing or two, but it's like I'll look around and there's people that have been doing this for less than 5 years that are giving seminars, and people that are opening schools that have not even done well in their matches, and like just like the standards seem to drop more and more all the time. And so like I don't know, I'm glad I can do my part, and I'm glad, like you said, I'm glad that Ali is doing his thing, because to me he's always had some of the highest and best standards in terms of training and just his own production. And so there's enough of us out there that are doing our part to kind of set things on the right path. But it's kind of the Wild West out there.
Yeah, definitely different. This I don't even want to, I guess I'll call it like a new phase of your career, or like a little bit of a revitalization of it, right? Coming off a long industry, you have, I think, a great strength now is all that experience. What are you taking it day by day, or are you like, I want this phase of my career to kind of be about me helping others, or like have you kind of put a central theme around like, I want the next maybe 3 years of wrestling to kind of look like this, or is that still thinking too far ahead?
I mean, I like have my own sort of personal wants and wishes, but I feel like the industry itself is evolving so much all the time that even let's say 5 years ago, there are aspects to wrestling that didn't exist back then that exist now, and there's programs and there's directions and all kinds of like different ways to be successful in wrestling. So I can tell myself like, oh, I would like to do X, Y, and Z, but then there might be some other form of success that materializes in the next 18 months where now it's like, oh, I want to do that instead. So I feel like for me, I mean, I would like to just sort of get back to the point of doing this as consistently as possible. So I'm at the point now where I've got a few bookings a month. I would like to be on the road pretty much every week if I can be. I mean, Laney is a big part of my career currently because I feel like it's important to be realistic and sort of understand your particular place and your ceiling in wrestling. And so for me personally, I know that at this point in my life and my career, late 30s, I'm sure WWE is not going to knock on the door. They have a very big sort of youth kick going on. There are other opportunities that could present themselves, but like to me, I feel like Laney's ceiling is non-existent. Like she's got all the potential in the world. She's legitimately one of the best female talents, just basically independent wrestling talents in the world, in my opinion. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing as much as I can to promote her and to help her get better and help train with her, work with her, and make sure that she realizes her potential. So it's one of those where like, if just one of us can make it, then to me, that's worth it. So like, obviously I'm going to do all that I can to get myself where I want to be. But short of that, if we can get Laney to where she deserves to be, then I'll consider that a success.
Absolutely. You're one household now. I think like that's how my wife and I look at a lot of things too. Like, it's like we're a team at this point,
I don't know. This is not the GPA I'm used to. Too nice.
We're going to get into some of that tenacity, I think. And it's funny too, because I look back at like some of our older interviews. I think you were too, also like credit to you. You were one of the early freelance people to like give us a chance to come on the podcast. And I remember too, like you came on in full character, full kayfabe. That was one of the first times we kind of ever did. We were like, let's just try it. But thanks. I reminisce on those times where like you would come on and you would have like an edge about you and we would argue like, what is the right thing to do? Your character had an idea of what the right thing was. And then the freelance fans had a different idea and like that back and forth. So it's really cool to reminisce on this. And I think like you deserve credit to like, we're not a gigantic, we're a hyper local podcast, but even at that time, you're like, hey, these guys seem kind of fun, or like maybe they're creating like a tiny bit amount of hyper local buzz. I'll give them a shot. And so like credit to you and thanks for that. That was really fun all those times.
Yeah, for sure. And it's important to like make what you do in wrestling sort of three-dimensional, right? So if everything I had been doing was limited to the shows, then like, that's cool. But, there has to be the social media aspect. There has to be the podcast aspect. There has to be, if somebody sees you on the street and then they ask you like, hey, what do you think of Kylie? And I say, oh, screw Kylie. I hate her. Like, there has to be like, there has to be a full-bodied aspect to what you do, in my opinion. Some people, especially now with where we are sort of in the industry, there's the Unreal show that's on now where they're pulling back the curtain and everybody's friends and hugging and kumbaya and all that. So like, but for me in my mindset, it's important to present in a full way what you are trying to promote, and don't just, you should be who you are. You should be who you claim to be. Even if you're a evil spaceman from the past or something, like you should be that 24/7. That should be
Danger Mask.
Yeah.
Danger Mask is pro 2 heels in a face. We love Danger Mask.
Nice, yeah, good guy. But yeah, like there shouldn't be like an on and off switch. Like there should always be something for people to sink their teeth into, and where the lines get blurred is kind of up the eye of the beholder sort of thing. But yeah, no, you guys have always been cool, and you get wrestling. You're not just you didn't start watching yesterday and now you have every thought in the world on it. Like you guys are learned, smart fans. So yeah, I've always enjoyed talking with you guys.
Wow. We should clip that and send this to James. I'm joking.
and you guys do have my PayPal, right? You got because there was a mix-up last time, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that compliment. Yeah. Even to the point of by the way, do you hate that the Netflix thing? I haven't watched it, but I've seen clips. It's very pull back the curtain. The farthest it's ever gone back, maybe. Do you hate that, or are you okay with it?
I'm not a fan.
Okay.
I get it, and I also think that they're savvy enough to show you enough to make the average fan feel like, ooh, we're seeing stuff we're not supposed to see. But there's also stuff that they're still not going to reveal, that they're not going to talk about, that are the real story is not going to be 100% out there. So there's business aspects even to this show, but overall, like the concept of it, I'm not a fan. Like, to me, the magic of wrestling has always been one of the best parts of it. Like it's ridiculous on its face, and there's a lot of it that's not quite realistic, but you can still lose yourself in the world of wrestling. And I think when you get a little bit too revelatory about it, now I'd like, to what end are we doing this? Like if I'm watching a movie, I don't want during the movie to be cut to a scene of behind the scenes and like, oh, well, this is what this evil guy was thinking in this scene. And, here I am with the guy that I hate right next to me, and we're going to talk about the scene that we just did. Like, I don't get what it's benefiting to pull back the curtain, like as this stuff is going on. If you want to reminisce about stuff from 20 years ago, that's fine. But like to be this, open now as we're actively in some of these storylines, I don't know. It just seems a little much to me. But they're the ones making billions, so who am I?
Yeah, you're saying it's like they're talking about like current stuff, ongoing storylines.
Yeah, I feel like that's been the trend. Like as we've gone through because it used to be, they would put out a DVD about like, oh, here's the death of WCW, 5 years after it closed or whatever, and you get all the behind the scenes dirt and the blah blah blah. But I feel like as we've gotten into the more of like the content and streaming age, the documentaries come out like right away. You'll watch like a pay-per-view, and then they have a behind the scenes like the next day, and they'll do the press conferences, and they'll do like just all this stuff that talks about things that are literally still resonating because they just happened. And I don't know, I feel like that takes me out of it a little bit, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah. Chris, I saw you nodding your head. Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, no, I watched that Netflix, what is it, on something. I don't remember the name.
We're not great with names.
But right. But no, I watched it, and it did make me think. I'm like, it's very produced, right? Like at first, like they give you something to kind of catch you, but then I feel like as it went on, is like you kind of feel like they're showing you what they want to show you. And then there's and I did watch it, so I was intrigued by it. But to your point, Geoff, like they do put those like 24/7s after a WrestleMania or a 24/7 after a big feud, and kind of putting the curtain. And it's like, sure, it shows you some of the stuff, but there's some fans that like it. But I feel like it does break up things a little bit when there's like a really good storyline that you're following and you're going through, and for them to kind of show you what was real, what was not real, like all that, it is like, okay, you kind of lose interest for the next 2 weeks until you start hearing something else and you'll try to catch up.
Okay.
But overall, I think it's a machine. It's pumping out content. I don't know if you've seen the numbers, if we're talking WWE, like what it would cost for you to watch WWE 2026. with subscriptions, ESPN coming on board,
Oh yeah,
all that. Like, hey, I'll just kind of watch the highlights on social media. I don't know if I can afford all that, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, we'll see. Regardless, freelance is around, independent wrestling is around, and you can definitely catch a show, for 20-30 bucks and have a good time.
yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
That's yeah. This is the Disney model. I don't know if you noticed too. Like when the new they've scaled it back because they screwed it up. But when the new when the new MCU saga started, they were just pumping out all this stuff, and a lot of it was trash. So it seems like the WWE is kind of doing that now, where it's just like very over commercialized, and they're pumping out so much stuff, and they have all of your attention. And like, yeah, that cost to watch thing, they should calculate like time and brain space, because it's like you can't mentally like keep up with it as well. But Chris mentioned, yes, freelance shows, and I want to transition to Geoff. You have one coming up, right? Against, I think it was just announced today. Was it Hunk Cassidy? Correct.
Yeah, he's kind of the new heavy for Eye Candy Elliott, who I have plenty of thoughts on. But yeah, so I mean, I believe Eye Candy is too busy to join us this coming weekend, but he's sending his squeeze, Mr. Cassidy. So I'll handle him, and then we'll deal with Eye Candy as he sees fit to join us again someday.
Okay, and that is that August 22nd? I should have the show date, but I don't.
Yeah, as we're speaking, it's this coming Saturday, so whatever date that is, I never
Saturday. Okay, the 23rd, August 23rd.
Yes.
So hopefully, if you're listening to this, just check and see, if Freelance is still selling tickets. Sometimes they sell them at the door like the day of, even if like capacity was hit. They try and make a little extra room. So that's something.
Yeah, as far as I know, there's still tickets available. They haven't made any announcement about a sellout, and the show is the Kirby benefit show, because he's
correct.
So we had one for him last year, and it's not like this is the yearly thing. We're not like intending, every year we're just gonna raise money for Kirby. Like he literally suffered like another unfortunate life tragedy in the interim between last year and this year. There's a big fire. They lost almost everything that they owned. So, I think last year it was for his heart surgery, got heart transplant. He's doing very well now. And then as he was on the mend, his house burned down. So, he's just, he can't win for losing at this point. But everybody's in good spirits. He's doing well. His family's doing well. And so Freelance is doing our part as part of his family to raise some funds and help them get back on their feet during this time.
Right. Yeah, it's very well said. And I know we went into it last time we talked, which was like a couple of years ago, that last episode, but you know what it's like to have your house burned down, or place burned down, it stinks.
And I've visited Kirby before, and they had like a legit like home, like a suburban lived in long time home with like a lot of family heirlooms and stuff like that. Lainey and I had been in our apartment for maybe a year, and we just had a few things, so it really wasn't that big of a tragedy overall. But for Kirby, that was like their longtime family home, so that was a big deal for him.
Yeah. That's a great reason to go to the show. Thank you for bringing that up. And yes, we love Kirby. This is a Pro Kirby podcast. We might see a little glimpse of Kirby on an upcoming match. So let's get into that. So the format is going to be Geoff gave us some matches too, like some that he's very proud of, and then also I think I threw in one that was near and dear to our hearts as a podcast, which is probably still the most interested storyline we've been the most interested in since we've been watching indie wrestling, which was like you and Kylie's storyline. But yeah, we're gonna get into some of these matches. Just like Chris has the timestamps, we can just start a match. We don't have to watch the whole match, and then we'll skip kind of to hopefully maybe like the ending sequence. And yeah, we're just gonna reminisce on some times.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Chris, you have
first one. I have it queued up, and we're gonna start with January 8th, 2016, Fresh Poison at the Bottom Lounge. GPA versus Chase Owens.
I tried to do this in chronological order. Yeah, look at this. So Chase,
right away.
Jeff's like, this is the first time I've watched this. Chase Owen, Bullet Club guy. So like, if you're a New Japan fan, you remember him. I didn't recognize his name when you sent it to me, but once I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, I know who that guy is. And he's wearing the tights too, Bullet Club tights.
Yeah.
What do you remember about this, Jeff?
So this was cool. So like, I would say that the Bullet Club is still relevant. Like they're still around. They're still a big thing. But this was back when like they were a big deal. You know what I mean? Like you slap that Bullet Club logo on somebody and they were made instantly. And so Chase has always been kind of like, he's more Japan based. Like he lives and works in America, but I feel like most of his reputation is over in Japan. And so they brought him in, and I was just on the rise here. Like I think I had won maybe a couple scrambles or just something, but I didn't really have like a big singles presence in the company. And so when it was announced that I was working Chase, like this is kind of what I meant as far as working with people that are at a level above you. And so like I was still a young guy, still new to like the bigger indie scene, and Chase is a guy that had been there and done that. And so for him to be working with me at this point was so beneficial for me because he was at a level that I was trying to get to, that I'm still trying to get to. And so like it wasn't just the blind leading the blind where I'm out there with a friend of mine that I've worked with, that's on the same level as me. This is a guy coming in who can tell me, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is why we're going to do it, and I can just sort of lay back, listen to him, and follow him. And he took real good care of me in terms of the setup and the execution of this. Like he's such a pro, and to get to work with a guy like that was rare for me at that time. Like I was used to just working with my buddies, so for them to bring in somebody like this and let me get in there with them on a singles basis was really big for my development.
Yeah, this is, and I know you've worked Goldust. I don't know when that was. I don't know if that was before or after. But this is not working Goldust. This is working like a current guy who's actually like can. No offense to Goldust, I just know Goldust was more legend at that point. But this is like a guy kind of near in his prime ish, right?
Yeah, and even the Goldust thing was more of like a segment. Like there was a confrontation, and then we had a little bit of physicality, but it wasn't an actual like bell to bell match. So with Chase, this was an actual like full on match, and like you said, like a guy that was is and was like right in the prime, active, working big names on a regular basis. So yeah, it was a big opportunity for me.
Yeah, definitely. And like it's probably a lot of, I don't know if you were face back then. I think you were, right? Or right here. Yeah. But still, I mean, it had to be split, right? Because I see a lot of like two sweets in the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, like the Bullet Club have always kind of been like cool heels. So like, even though I was very much a white meat babyface at this time, like just having a name the caliber of Chase Owens representing a cool faction like the Bullet Club, like it was basically going to be split regardless.
Yeah. And if you're watching, I don't know if you once again, best viewed on YouTube this episode, the camera pan out that just happened. I noticed that in the next, I don't know if it's the next match. Let me look at the agenda. Yeah, in the next match, I noticed that happens too, which that one takes place at the Chop Shop. But like, obviously, like it's a little harder to do at LSA because the camera just kind of sat there. But like, you see how it's like cutting to different. That's kind of interesting. I don't know. Like, there's not too much of that happening for some shows. I feel maybe now it's just kind of like one camera. There is some cutting, but like it's like zoomed out, like reverse zoomed out.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think and that was actually one of the big aspects of Freelance that made it different when it started, because Nick's had a business partner, a guy named Jack, who was
we met him. I remember meeting him when we first started. Yeah,
he was basically like the official video guy for Fallout Boy, and so he brought like a completely professional, like high tech, very very like high end production value to the product. And so I'm wondering if he was still involved here, because this is like good quality footage, and like you said, they got the cool camera cuts and the zoom outs and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was still there at this point.
Yeah,
I think he was around during this time.
I think
it sounds right.
And just a quick shout out to to Bottom Lounge. Like what were your takes on that venue?
It was really cool. It was so we went from the Abbey Pub, which to me is still my all-time favorite freelance venue. And then the Bottom Lounge, like to me, it very much fit the freelance vibe. Like that's always been a big thing for me, is that I feel like for freelance specifically, there needs to be a venue that sort of matches like the vibe of the company. And
Yeah.
the Bottom Lounge definitely did that.
Oh,
There we go.
and that was I think that match was like 10 minutes long. Yeah, just under 10.
Yep.
And very very active, very back and forth. Like I can always, it's funny just the way my brain works and my understanding of myself. Like I can always tell which matches like I had more of a hand in putting together and which the other guy put together. And so I can just tell like the pacing and sort of the up and down nature of that match. That was like all Chase, just hooking me up there, like helping me know what to do and when to do it. And it like I think of myself as kind of like an ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of guy. And then there's guys at the level above that who can work in different directions and kind of take you on a ride that's a lot less linear than like the stories that I try to tell. So yeah, that was all Chase, just sort of dragging me along through that.
Yeah, it was very fast paced. And yeah, you could tell I think your babyface GPA, because heel GPA would have slowed that match down. He would have took his time with some stuff, and taunted and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this was probably in my like galley champion days where I was sort of making my name at galley. I was winning their mid-card belt, tag belt, world belt, and all that. I was sort of garnering my reputation there, and then I sort of used that momentum to then jump over to freelance. And luckily there was some carryover with the fans there, so that helped me sort of just not walk in as a unknown. Like I had a little bit of support coming in, and then everything kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the second one, Chris, do you want to introduce it?
Yep, I was just teeing it up right here.
This is a big one.
We started January, now we are in August 26th, 2016. Big Trouble in Wicker Park, Chop Shop, and obviously Freelance. And this is Mustafa Ali against GPA.
Yeah. This one, wait, can you go back a little more? Just go back a little more to the entrances. I think I put like the exact timestamp down. There's just some fun. There's some Easter eggs. Even go back a little bit more. Okay, start. Yeah, here's good. There's some Easter eggs in this, and I just want to. Oh, okay. We missed one, but I think you go back to the start of the. No, it's okay. You can let it run.
Oh. All right. Well, I think we are talking about somebody that we see at the very.
There's someone standing to your left. Yes, or to Geoff's left. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that man right there, the bald man. Tony Knotts, great fan of the pod, great guy. We haven't talked to him in a long time.
Yeah, good guy. I talk to him pretty much every day. But yeah, Tony was there. I believe even behind him was Kevin Quinn, who's a longtime local trainer. He trained Samoa Joe, CM Punk, Christopher Daniels, like really legendary guy. Doesn't get a lot of play anymore because he's stepped away from wrestling. But yeah, he was a big part of my training regimen back then because he had stepped back into the scene to help train for a little while.
There you go. And yes,
this guy over here.
And Roy
Gordon. Yep. And then behind your head right now is Kirby. Yeah, exactly. I wonder if there was a young Kylie Ray in the crowd too. I saw someone that might have looked like her, but I didn't.
She was there. Yeah, I think she was probably just doing like ring crew at that time. But yeah, she was there that night. Okay.
And I love too, you can kind of see the evolution of gear, right? This is younger, like more, I don't know if I want to say bouncy, but like GPA and like more babyface. Like you just kind of have the hooded sweatshirt, and then that like evolves over time to like when you were like heel GPA, you had like these kind of jackets that it gave you a different aura, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a big detail for this one because I was a long pants or long tights guy for a good chunk of my career. Then I went to the biker shorts like we saw in the Chase match. And then I felt like this one, because I was in the best shape that I'd ever been in. Like I was working out crazy style. I was doing the Kevin Quinn practices. Those were like nothing but
Okay.
cardio for 2 hours, and I had cut
Wow.
like pizza out of my diet. I was really, really on it for this match. It's funny because in my Facebook memories, there's been a lot of, because we're around this time of year, so I've been seeing a lot of my Ali prep, which I had going back I had like a hashtag of Ali prep because I was doing a lot of heavy lifting and crazy cardio workouts. And so I was trying to make it a thing where I was like legitimately training for this match. It wasn't just like, oh, you know,
Oh, cool.
one of my matches on my schedule. Like this was very much something that I was looking forward to, like a big fight or big boxing match or anything else. Like I was training specifically for this match. So
Yeah.
but yeah, and the gear was a big part of it too. I had to come out with a new look, new style. Like I wanted this to be very much kind of a coming out party for me.
Yeah, it's cool. This is such a cool event. I mean, the camera angles are sweet. It really feels so underground, this venue. And like I like how the match graphic is on the wall too. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you talk to people that were around back then, I guarantee you almost all of them will talk shit about this venue because it was very cramped. If you went behind the curtain, the locker room was basically like a staircase that led upstairs, and then they had just like this tiny little lounge type of room for the 30 wrestlers to cram into and try to get dressed, and they wouldn't let us go outside. So like right behind the curtain is a door that leads to the alley, which would have been perfect, but they didn't want us going outside. So we all had to like just cram into this tiny little staircase and the tiny little room at the top of the stairs. So really not a very comfortable venue, but in terms of the aesthetics, it was great. It looked so cool.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think this was Maine. A lot of the matches you gave me were Maine, and I think that says a lot about you as like a main event wrestler.
Well, and actually, to that point, so this was not the main event, which plays into which plays into kind of what happens here. Because to give you a little behind the scenes, so we were semi main, and
semi main. Okay,
we were given, I want to say we were given about 10 to 12 minutes. We were listed on the format 10 to 12 minutes, and Ali came in, saw that, and immediately got pissed, because so he like, obviously he's been a big supporter of mine, a friend of mine. He felt the same way about this match.
Shout out Richard.
Oh yeah, we got some of the crew.
Definitely some familiar faces.
Yeah, there's Jack and Tick out there too. But yeah, so Ali decided, like, because I just left everything up to him. He was a level above me, and so he completely threw that timestamp out the window.
It's like a 45-minute match, isn't it?
Yeah. We go forever, and this was very much him trying to prove a point. Like, oh, okay, we're not the main event. Well, we're gonna fucking show you that there's nothing that's gonna follow, because they had a ladder match after us, which I understand. You got to set that up, and there's a bunch of craziness, and it was for the tag titles. So I'm not saying that didn't deserve to be the main event, but we were gonna show them that nothing was gonna follow us.
Yeah.
I knew you at this point, like, you two can go the hour if needed to. I would have been worried for Two Juice because I see he is the ref in this match.
That is a good point. We probably should have had like a standby ref or something.
Two Juice is looking great. He's young and spry in this.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, relatively speaking.
Yeah. No, this match, it's 45. This was the one when I was talking to you kind of before we started recording. This was the one where I was like skipping around to find the timestamps, and I was like, oh shit, I want to stay here for a second. And then like I was doing this during my lunch break for work, and then like emails are coming in for work. I'm like, no, like this is what I want to actually watch. And then I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how long this is. But like, we can skip to like, I put another timestamp up there that I thought was just like a crazy moment. But like the crowd is engaged the whole time. So I don't think it's not a dull 45 by any means. Like, and it was very split too, the crowd.
Yeah, it was, because sometimes baby matches can be a little flat because the crowd doesn't have an investment in one guy or the other. They're just kind of like appreciating the spectacle. But there was just something about this particular match where, and also Ali had just started with the Cruiserweight Classic, I believe, so he was getting kind of that mainstream publicity at this time. So he really had kind of that aura about him. But it also couldn't be denied that I was on the come up as well. And so it just kind of had that like perfect storm of buzz going into it. And And yeah, that you mentioned the crowd. That's like the one takeaway that I have from this is that I can just remember there just kind of being this roar from like start to finish. Like to me,
Yeah.
obviously we had like the big pops and stuff, but there was just never like a quiet time in the match. It was like as soon as I came through the curtain all the way up until the end, like the people were just there for us the entire time.
Did you, when you guys were done, did you feel walk back and be like, yeah, we like follow that mother effers? Like, did you have that? Oh my God, a backstabber from the top row. Did you have that? Like, yeah, no, we don't. Did you have that like aura about it though? Like, yeah, we just crushed that. Like, try and follow that kind of.
Yeah, I felt it. So when we get to the finish, I mean, we were both just completely exhausted by the end, but there'll be a scene where we're both just kind of lying there dead at the very end. And I knew because I believe the fans run up and kind of slam on the mat, which was always like one of
Yeah.
the cooler things that would happen during great matches. So yeah, we pretty much knew right at the end that we had done something special. And yeah, when we came back to the curtain, a lot of high fives, a lot of attaboys. But yeah, even before that, just lying there, like we both knew that was a good one.
Yeah. That's and we're definitely gonna talk to Isaias about his like retirement moment. But I think that was the coolest part about the retirement moment is like people got to slam the mat, and that's such an old school freelance thing. And then oh, this spot's sweet. Yeah. Ooh. Look at how you are such a corpse in that moment. You're like Gumby.
And what's funny is I forgot that he was coming here. So this was all like I probably could have like prepared myself for it more, but I was completely out of it. So him landing on me was like a surprise to me. Like, oh shit, okay, yeah, I guess we're doing this now.
I thought that was cool because I think
getting excited.
Definitely, yeah. I thought that was cool. I thought because I would think like if you did that cutter and then you did like the rollover and like scoot into position, like that those moments kind of kill it a little bit. But you were just like out, and he like killed your out body even more.
Yeah, and I'm sure I probably would have done that if I had the presence of mind, but I literally just had no idea that he was going to go up top after that. So, there was no preparation on my part. It was just, all right, this is the position I'm in. So good luck to you.
Yeah. Okay. We're at about, I think we could probably let it run. I think it's maybe about 5 or 6 minutes until the end of this match.
This match never ends, Charlie.
But there is so much stuff happening.
And so it's funny. So that Spanish fly there, that's one of the moves that, like, I'd probably be okay taking it now, but that was what I was most worried about going into it. Because I'm not really a top rope guy. I can do a couple things here and there. Yeah. But the idea of me like jumping off in a front flip as he does a back flip, like that scared the hell out of me. So I was thinking about that all week leading up to this match. And luckily it went off without a hitch. And I remember there's a second where I think right as he gets up there, I think we're both up there for a second, but I just remember him saying like, okay, here we go. I got you. Because he could tell that like the terror in my eyes, but he was good to go, and he talked me through it as we were up there.
Yeah. What was man? I do miss the mat slapping. There was like some incident right at the where it's like, and then after that incident at the LSA, like we had to put up guardrails or something. Can't even remember.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was us specifically, because I know like AAW runs there and stuff. But yeah, and it might have just been like it just for the draws grew and grew, and it got to be more packed. It was probably just more practical to set up the barricades. But yeah, that was always one, because there was this one, and then the night that Stevie beat me for the belt was also a night where they ran up and slammed on the mat. And to me, that's always like the biggest confirmation that like you did a good job.
Yeah, I didn't get the timestamps for that match, but I did write it down as an idea. So maybe if we're feeling frisky at the end of it, we can pull that one up. I remember there was a couple stage spots in that match.
Yeah, and we actually had two. We had the first one where he beat me, and then we had a rematch, which was more of a street fight. So we were kind of
okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. I mean, you hit your finish. There's a lot of finishes in this match, but it's just like constantly like, big spots and people just coming back from stuff. 45 minutes of just action.
Yeah, and I think we're at the end here, but But yeah, and then like yeah, obviously we don't have the sound, but even just I'm sure the crowd is jumping up and down at this point and just just so with us the entire way. Followed. Oh, I think I'm finally out there. So
Yeah, that's such a cool the zoom out of that, and
yeah,
it feels a little bit like when Okada like does his taunt in New Japan and the camera would zoom out. It's like a mini version of that, and it just zooms
yeah,
out. Yeah,
yeah, it really is. But yeah, I just remember like lying there, just being just proud more than anything
yeah,
because like I had put so much work into it, and I didn't want to let Ali down because I've always looked up to him so much. I want to meet his standards as much as my own, and so to know that we both brought it as much as we did that night, like I was so proud in that moment just to know like okay, now I can take a breath, now I can eat a carb, now I can go get a slice of pizza. It was so nice to know that we had gotten through it.
yeah.
And
That's
sometimes
sweet.
I feel like because of how fast everything moves now and everything is just okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? You don't really get to like feed into matches like that anymore. Like I'm sure there are people out there that look at their matches as being big and they're preparing for it and all that, but like I feel like it's harder and harder to kind of have these special times and moments because it's always just washed away by something that happens 10 minutes later. But this
Mhm.
really felt like kind of a formative time and a formative match for me where it was like this made me in a sense. I went from just kind of being like a fun mid-card guy with a little bit of support to like this sort of put me at another level with freelance to where like now I was a made guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think what followed this, and we didn't include this match, but we're probably looking at Isaiah's episode, but it was that triple threat, right? I think followed this not too long next was the
Yeah,
triple
so
threat
that
with Jimmy 3.
the triple threat was in December. I think this match was in August. So I
Okay.
did like I
Yeah.
kind of piddled around with some other stuff in the interim. But then, and what actually kind of led to that decision is that Ali signed his contract. So
Yeah.
at that point, I feel like we probably had a more to do, but it became a situation where it was like, okay, well, Ali's leaving, we got to do something about this title. And so, at that point, because of the steam that I had generated, and with Isaiah's just kind of being like the longtime guy, it just made the most sense to put in the former champ and then kind of put in the guy on the rise and the current champ and just sort of see what happens.
Yeah. And so I know we're going to look at that match probably more closely when we do another episode, but like can you describe the feeling after where you did win that triple threat? And it's like, cause like the matches we kind of watch have kind of been building your singles career to the point where it's like, okay, now Geoff can take this title and run. So like, what was the feeling after winning that triple threat match?
It's funny because and who knows, it could have been because of head trauma, but like the match itself is actually just a blur to me. Like
Okay.
the Ali match, I have very vivid memories. I can like see the crowd, I can see the lights beaming down on us, I can feel like that atmosphere, I can put myself back there. The triple threat was such a whirlwind, like just that day itself. Like I think Ali got there a little bit late, so I'm sure I got there at the crack of dawn, just fucking ready to go, just in my gear already and everything. And then I just remember sitting around, and it was also Ali's farewell show because he
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
gone after that, and so there was such a buzz about that show too because obviously the title match is a big deal, but it's Ali's send off. It's going to be my first major title. So I just had so many nerves, so many feelings and emotions going into it. And in my personal life, like I was going through like a really shitty breakup at the time, which
Okay.
always kind of adds like just tension to your every passing moment. And so just there was so many emotions swirling within me going into that day. And then um and it's funny now that we're well past it, I can like this is my unreal moment, where it's like, okay, we're well past the match, so I can kind of peel back the curtain a little bit.
Yeah.
It was pretty well assumed that I was going to be taking the belt just because of the circumstance. Like Isaiah's kind of had his time.
Right.
I was the hot new guy. But when Ali showed up and we all like finally got together and started talking things out, he had actually pitched, what if we go left instead? What if we put the belt back on Isaiah's? And it's fun. I just felt my heart sink.
Oh no.
I had told friends, I had told family, like I probably packed half the place just with my people, like, hey, this is gonna be my
Yeah.
big night, my big night, my big night. And then Ali comes in and says, hey, what if we don't do any of that? We actually put the belt on somebody else. And so, it was a little bit of a last minute negotiation, but we decided, screw it, we'll just go with the planned direction. Yeah, like that was my biggest pre-match memory, was just the proposition that, like, hey, what if we do something else? And then the match itself, like, it's funny, like there's so little about the actual match that I remember. I know we did some cool, like, I mean, the whole match is cool, but they did like a double coast to coast. And I know I'm upside down in the corner, and they both like jump across the ring, and they both kick me in the back of the head or something. And we do I do a big dive at one point. I know we did like a big power bomb back stabber
Yeah.
sort of deal. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that happened, but yeah, the literal match itself is such a blur. I remember the post match because that was all very emotional, and like I remember being happy and very proud to be standing there as champion, but it was also like I knew that they weren't there for me. Like the night wasn't necessarily about me. I was going to have my moment in the sun. Everybody was going to, acknowledge me as kind of the new guy, but it was also very much about Ali and sending him off, watching him, head to the next level. Because even when he comes out, he gets the streamers, and like,
Yeah.
it's very much a celebration of Ali and seeing him off to the next level. So like I was very happy and very proud of what it was, but I
Yeah.
also knew that it wasn't entirely about me that night.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah. No, it's interesting insight for sure. Okay, Chris, you want to keep the next one? We can start it too. I'm just gonna run to the bathroom really quick, but Chris, feel free to take over. I'm
All
sorry.
right. All good. So for this next one, right, we're now in 2017. This is March 24th, 2017. Don't let me cave in at the LSA, and this is GPA against Matt Cage.
Nice. Okay. I believe this is our first LSA show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we moved on from the bottom lounge, and we had finally gotten a date for Logan Square, and so this is our first one. I remember the draw was a modest draw. It was not too bad. Definitely nothing like we do nowadays. But yeah, this was our
Right.
maiden voyage at Logan Square.
So at this point, are you just requesting Two Juice to be your ref? I see he's there once again.
No, I think he was just sort of like he was our Earl Hebner. Like, if we had a big match,
Yeah.
then it was going to be Two Juice out there.
Definitely. Yeah, so Matt Cage, I think like Matt Cage, very polarizing figure for Freelance. I think people forget about him and like how I remember him having a really good promo. I remember him being just a dickhead, character wise, right? I didn't know the person personally. But yeah, like I think I've forgotten, like not forgotten, like when you sent me that though, I was like, oh, Matt. So like I had that moment where I was like, oh, I remember that guy, kind of thing. But he was in the main event scene for at least this period, right? This year.
Yeah, and he was more of a Dreamwave guy. So like,
Okay.
Freelance was definitely coming up. It's funny that just that moment there. I remember thinking, again, just pulling back the curtain a little bit. I
Yeah,
remember he
do
was
it.
going to attack me. He was only trying to spin me around there, but I just ate shit and just fell for no reason. But anyway, but yeah, he was a big deal at Dreamwave, which was kind of like the standard bearer at that point in Chicago.
Yeah.
I feel like Dreamwave kind of had their run, and then Freelance in AAW sort of caught fire around the same time, and that
Yeah.
those two sort of became like the 1 and 2, and Dreamwave slipped off a little bit. But what I'd referenced before about guys with like Ali and Isaiah and trying to like reach that next level, I consider Matt Cage one of those guys, because when I was in those locker rooms, the Freelance locker rooms, whatever, I would look around at the guys like Matt Cage who were doing the main events, who were established, top guys in the area at that time. And so I was, dying to get in there with guys like that because that's the level that I was trying to get to. And just, when you're a scramble, mid card tag team guy, whatever, like you don't really get to mingle with that class of wrestler. And so now that I
Yeah.
was on that level, I was able to get in there with Matt Cage. And again, this is one of those matches where I feel like really helped define my singles run at that point. Because honestly, there wasn't the greatest start to my title run.
Okay.
I feel like sometimes there are trappings that come with, like, when you climb the mountain and reach the top of the mountain, I feel like a lot of times there's a struggle to then make it interesting beyond that.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be a definite focus from the company on what to do with you and like what monsters are there to slay after you reach the top of the mountain. And so I believe my first defense was against Space Monkey. It really wasn't the most compelling start. And what that was actually circumstantial because it was supposed to be Isaiah's. But the day of the show, Isaiah's was like deathly ill. I think he got like food poisoning or something. So they had to pivot to Space Monkey. And then we did the Isaiah's rematch the following month. And then I believe Matt Cage was my third defense. So, but just kind of a rocky start to my title run. But I feel like this match helped kind of get me going and get me some good momentum, make this like a worthwhile title run because of how good this match was.
Yeah.
The first two were fine. Definitely nothing wrong with them, but it like wasn't necessarily, especially because Ali had set such a high standard with his matches, where it was like I felt like, okay, I need something to kind of help me, get some traction going, and this match definitely did that for me.
Yeah. There's some truth to that, where it's like, okay, the storyline has ended, the good guy has won. It's like, now what does he do? And you got to like rebuild. You got to rebuild that investment in something new. At like the start of a title run.
Yeah, I've noticed it, and it happens all over the place. It can be TV companies, could be indie companies. It's like the chase. There's always, a certain, not ease, but like it's definitely a lot easier to book the chase than it is to book the defenses after that.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I believe right before this, I think I do a big suicide dive, and I completely eat shit on one of the hard metal chairs out there. And so to this day, I've got a scar right above my eyebrow that I always associate with this match. This is one of the matches that'll literally always be with me because I've got the scars to prove it.
I think you are bleeding. Is that from that?
Yeah. I take him out on a suicide, and then my forehead goes directly into one of those metal chairs that are right next to us.
At this point, Freelance did not have the stage as the entrance, right? Notice that. Again, I don't know if you missed that part. Charlie, yeah, but this is Freelance's first LSA show.
Damn, that your face looks really gnarly from this point of view.
Yeah, it was, I guess, what they call fortuitous juice in wrestling. Like, I definitely didn't intend to get it, but it happened, and so it kind of adds to the drama of the match. But yeah, we had a lot of, and like obviously, like a stage spot was new and exciting at that point because it's like, oh, we got all these new toys to play with in this new venue.
True. Yeah, this is early into the LSA era, so to speak, which is still kind of that just kind of became the standard place.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of love for Logan Square. I do feel like it's probably, it's not too classy for us, but like I just love the underground feel, like you mentioned before about Chop Shop and Bottom Lounge and the Abbey Pub before that. Like I always love kind of the grungy, character-filled venues. Like at Logan Square is a beautiful place, and it's great, and it's good for from a business perspective. But I've always loved like the character of kind of the smaller, grungier venues.
Yeah, it's got like they do. I think Freelance dimming the lights helps because there are places that run at LSA and they just in the middle of the day and they don't dim the lights, and I just feel like it loses more of the underground feel that way. And Freelance should be underground because it's just like the underdogs. Like that's what the company was built on. But what's hidden about the LSA is like people don't even know it's there, and it's just above a very popular cafe. And that's what I think always gets people is like, wait, we're going upstairs. It's almost like, It's in like this unsuspecting building. I think that's what it's got. Like, that's a positive for it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, just some real life human, but like I'd mentioned, or I think me and Lainey were talking to somebody, but we had mentioned that Logan Square, they have a wrestling venue, and the person had like lived and worked in Logan Square forever, and they had no idea that like Logan Square Auditorium was there.
Yeah.
Unless you're looking for it, you wouldn't see it.
No, you don't even know like how do you get up there? Like, it's just an unsuspecting door too. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking like pretty pissed. Like you want to end this, but Matt's got some other plans.
Cage was so good at building the drama in his matches. Like, because I remember I'd gone to a few Dreamwave shows, just trying to get on there. But I just remember being in awe because he and Ali would work constantly. He and Christian Rose and just a lot of those mainstay guys over there would put excellent matches together, just super high quality stuff. And so I was happy to get in there and like get to work one of his styles of matches.
Yeah.
We had another match at Galley, I believe, after this. It's funny because Carlos, Galley promoter, he would always kind of like do the part two of a lot of my freelance matches. Like I faced Ali at Galley. You wouldn't know it, but like we had a very much smaller scale match there. And me and Matt Cage had another match at Galley. Like, we would always get like the little house show follow up at Galley sometimes to much less acclaim, obviously.
Yeah. Was he kind of just like, oh yeah, this works, let's do it back? Or did you guys wrestle it as a follow-up, or were you more just kind of like trying other stuff?
A little bit of both. Like,
yeah.
Just one of those where like, okay, well, this is hot, people are into it, so let's just run it back and try to get a little bit of residual attention for it.
Yeah, Matt, is you're ragdolling. That's not really a term, but like I think that's really helping the selling. Is just how you're taking all these. It just really looked like you're getting your fucking ass kicked.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the things that I tell the kids now is to make sure that like the selling is realistic. Like, especially as a babyface, if you're trying to garner sympathy, don't be out there like, oh, I got punched in the face, so I'm going to do a cartwheel about it. Like, make sure that it's legitimate, realistic selling, and make sure that you're doing what would actually physically happen if this move happened to you, if this punch happened or whatever. Like, make it based in reality and don't be too over the top with it.
Looks like I'm not sure who that is. Who just came in.
I want to say Christian Rose.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
I think I saw him wrestle once for Freelance, but he might have kind of been old guard at this point. I don't know. Oh, Shug.
Who's running in here? Shug.
Yeah, and I remember that kind of being one of the aspects of my title run is that I was almost like kind of in the CM Punk position when he was in WWE, where he was the champion, but that was during like the Cena Rock period where there was bigger and more important stuff going on besides the champion. So I think at one point, I even have a title match that's not the main event. Like they do a loser leaves town match with Cage and Shug, I think. And so I was on the undercard as the champion, which just kind of defines what my first run was.
Okay. And yeah, you're just exhausted, barely getting the pin in, basically.
Yeah. I got a little bit of Matt poundage there, so
yeah, that's great.
But yeah, I just remember being very happy with that because again, I held myself to such a high standard trying to follow Ali, and I think that there was maybe an expectation that I could just pick up where he left off and just have the same kind of matches and take the same kind of risks, but we're very different wrestlers at the end of the day. And so like I think some of those expectations also kind of hurt my title run a bit because like my strengths are there's quality and there's value to them. But if you're just looking for like the 5-star PWG, holy shit type of, banger matches, like that's not quite what I do. I'm more of the story guy. So, I think it took a little while for me to sort of be able to sink my teeth into something. And then this Matt Cage thing, just kind of an isolated match in itself. You know, there was the drama at the end. There was the different storylines kind of bleeding into ours.
Yeah.
That was helping me a lot more in terms of getting people invested, rather than just like, okay, here's GPA versus random guy from the indies, go out and have a banger. Like, I remember, I think I faced Anthony Henry at one point too, as a title defense. And this was like early Anthony Henry. He was just sort of catching on the indies. And again, it's one of those where if you put Ali and Anthony Henry in there, I'm sure they would have done some amazing stuff. Me and Anthony, we had a good match, but it wasn't anything to write home about, just because there was no story, there was no, really not a lot to it, not a lot of substance to it. So I did what I could, but I just feel like, I've always been more of the kind of bigger picture wrestler, rather than just, okay, you and you go have a 5-star banger, 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah. Well, speaking of bigger picture, that's our next match. This is one of my favorite matches all time of Freelance. Go ahead, Chris.
I quit match. Kylie Ray versus GPA. This takes place December 14, 2018. Too legit to quit. Once again at the LSA. And I mean, sure, match is great, but I think the lead up to this match is what everybody was just kind of hanging on to. Like the storytelling, how everything happened. Definitely one of those freelance staple feuds that everybody talks about.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually appropriate.
That's slow, methodical GPA.
And it's pretty appropriate that we just watched the Matt Cage match. So at the time, Matt Cage was the booker at Freelance. Nix had kind of ceded power to him. And so I dropped the belt to Stevie that summer. And then Kylie and I started teaming up just as kind of like a fun little thing. And the fans were starting to turn on me. Like it was sort of the John Cena thing where like they'd seen enough, like, okay, we get it. You're the good guy, you're the champ, but now we want something else. And so they were starting to give me shit, even as I was a babyface. And so when Kylie and I were teaming, Matt Cage made the decision to have me just turn. Like he was the one that made the call. He said, okay, let's just do it now, get it over with. Cause the fans are like, there's too much, like the dynamic is off, too much to ignore. So let's just go ahead and do the turn. And believe it or not, like this whole thing was supposed to be wrapped up in like 2 or 3 months. There were never any designs on it being more than just, okay, I'm going to turn on her real quick. We'll wrestle the next month. She'll beat me. And then I'll go off to do other things. And then she'll do her thing. So it becoming what it became, and then ultimately culminating with this match, was entirely a product of the work that we put into it and the fan investment in it. But it was always just meant to be like a real quick in and out 2-3 month feud.
Can I say, like, work you put others, Hank. There's a lot of the squad, Kirby again, Two Juice again, a lot of the same faces. The work you put into it, okay, cutting up not a promo where you didn't speak a single word, right? Like that was part of it. Having Kylie sell shirts that said beat up GPA on it. It's almost like you put as much time building the story into the actual match. And that's never on the same level with a lot of people where like they'll build it a little bit, but then they do the, like, you know what I mean? And it's like the build up, what you could argue was maybe even better than the in-ring wrestling, or they were on par with each other, so to speak.
Yeah, because, to me, especially if you have something like that where the investment is significant, like you have to fan those flames. You can't just move on from that, or you can't just have the meat of the match itself be, the drama. Like there has to be, like, you get as much out of it as you can. And so, like, Kylie was on the rise here. She was getting so much buzz, so much love from Chicago and from the indies. And then everybody was just red hot over me. So like we had lightning in a bottle, and it just would have been such a disservice to throw that away. And so I think that luckily, the higher ups noticed, like, oh, I think we actually kind of have something here. But yeah, just it was everything that went into it, the merch, the social media stuff, just everything, like it all came together so well.
Yeah, you could do like a mini documentary on this feud. I'm not kidding. I'm not like, I was so invested in this you couldn't, my investment compared to like what was maybe even on TV at the time, it was night and day. I could not believe I was so invested in an indie wrestling feud. And that's not like me crapping on indie wrestling, because like storytelling is there, but this just felt so much greater. Like, I think I think this is around the time we might have had you on the podcast. I don't know, but like, I know when we had you on and you were in character, like you were talking about Kylie, or you were talking about some kind of disservice. So it's like, it's just like I lived and breathed the feud, if that makes sense. Like, oh, there's a beat of GPA shirts right there. There's like 4 of them. So it's just like, it was just very all encapsulating. I think it was just so well done.
Yeah, and I remember like so K-Mel, one of the commentators who's been there basically since day one, so he's seen it all. But he, and I don't know if I go quite as far, but he says that this feud kind of saved Freelance, because the financials were not looking good as this feud started. Like at the beginning of this year, so this is in December. At the start of this year, like it was very much touch and go. It was like every show had to pay for the next one, and if we had a bad draw or if there was like any kind of unforeseen circumstance,
This
then
is
this
where
could have been
Kike
like,
does a weak chop.
There's Chris. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that, Geoff. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it was, and Nick's could give you a much more detailed version, because unfortunately it's all his finances. But yeah, it was like we were not doing well to start out the year. And then, obviously we can see here like the draw compared to even that Matt Cage match, like we're definitely picking up steam. I'm not just gonna take entire credit for that, but this feud was one of the things that kind of helped define Freelance at that point. And then we go into the Kylie era after this, and then we wind up where we are today. So I do think in a big way, we kind of helped steer Freelance on the right path, because things were looking pretty lean there for a while.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because this bleeds over into Freelance Underground, right?
Yeah, we were actually tag champs when all this started. So there was even like additional content there where we didn't ignore what was going on. We played into it there too, where we were kind of like the odd couple tag team. Like we wanted to keep the belts, but we also hated each other. So there was that dynamic there too.
Definitely. And I remember there was like between the turn and this match, I felt like there was like 3 or 4 months where you might have been in like some kind of, there might have been like in a tag where like you had a team. It's great. Catching you. You had a team and she had a team or something, but you just didn't really she didn't get her hands on you really until this moment. And I think that helped build it too, where like you guys were just like kind of, there was other stuff happening for like 3 or 4 months before she finally had a chance to like kind of get her hands around your neck, sort of thing. Yeah,
that was one of the fun aspects to it, is that, because you can't just swing on each other every month for a year. There have to be ways to get in and out of things. And so we had a real fun like kind of a Survivor Series type of match, I think the month before. And there were like, I would interfere.
You would tag out when she would tag in.
Yep. Yeah, and I think also her injury happened at some point in that year too. Okay. Because she did a tour of Japan and broke her collarbone. So I think right when the turn happened, she was on the shelf for several months, and I worked with that too. Like I came out and I did her entrance, and I believe the show right after she got hurt was me and Thunder Rosa in a singles match, and nobody expected Kylie to be there because she was freshly out of surgery. And so, me and Thunder Rosa wrestle, and all of a sudden Kylie's music hit, and she comes through the curtain, like with her cast and with her, fresh wound and everything. And it completely blew my mind. And Thunder Rosa rolled me up from behind, wound up beating me.
I remember that.
So so just all these like different elements that we had to it that made it all work. But there was a lot of meat on the bone and a lot to work with. I remember at one point, and we had obstacles to overcome too, because I remember we had Zaya Brookside, who's in TNA currently. They brought her in to face Kylie at one point, and on its surface, I feel like the story is pretty intuitive. Where like, okay, you've got me in this blood feud with Kylie. Kylie's wrestling somebody else. Like, obviously, I'm probably going to mess up the match, right? Like, I'm going to come out and do something dastardly and cost her the match or whatever. But Zaya was insistent that she not look bad or evil in this
Okay.
circumstance, and so we had to work around that too. Like, it couldn't just be me coming out, costing Kylie the match, and then Zaya kind of looks shitty by proxy. So the circumstances were such that we had to kind of make it so that Zaya wasn't in any way liable for what happened, but I
see.
still come out and do something shitty. Like, there were just all these different moving parts, but somehow we were able to make it work, like, every time.
I see. Yeah, so two juices. Yeah,
Here,
there's no pins. There's
here 2 juice. Ask the question.
Which is like having the mic there actually really worked for this character and for the match, because you can just, if you had something in your mind, you could just start cutting a promo if you wanted to, or just start talking shit. So it was handy that there was a mic around constantly, I think.
Yeah, and what you lose by not having near falls, you can sort of make up for by having those fun verbal moments.
Yeah. And that's like, to your point earlier, your strengths are stopping, slow it down, and make the most of the moment. Like, that is where you thrive, I think. That was a big bump. I just kind of glossed over that. That is where you thrive, and this match gave you the opportunity to just do that at any willing moment if you wanted to.
Yeah, and it was also kind of a testament to the story that we told, because the first match that we had, which I actually kind of prefer in a way, because I felt like it was very much just our own creation. Like, by the time we got to the first match that we had, it was such a thing that it was never supposed to be. So I just love kind of the vibe of that match. But we were just right in the middle of the card for that first match. I think we were maybe like third or fourth, might have even been before intermission. And so to go from that to being like the main event of the final show of the year, like, again, was kind of a testament to the work that we put in.
Yeah. So what was look at the date on this. Okay. December 14th. Okay, so this is the end of the year. So a lot happened in that year, like you were saying. Freelance, and this is a freelance. Okay. Too legit to quit. Okay. That makes sense. Because did you guys have a versus the world match too?
We did, yeah. I think that was our first match. That was
the first one.
Yeah, just a straight up singles match.
Okay. And then this was the blow off of all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even the blow off was probably meant to happen sooner, but I want to say her injury happens after our first match.
I mean, okay, so the timeline, is coming together in my head now.
Yeah, I think she missed a good chunk of the summer and kind of into the fall. So we were able to wrap it up in a nice kind of clean way at the end of the year.
Yeah, and then I remember you had a Iron Man at Freelance Underground, right? That was like maybe the last time. Is that the last time you guys wrestled each other?
It might have been, honestly, yeah, because we the timeline on that, I don't remember. It might have been after this in December. It could have been January. I'm not entirely sure when that happened, but we had a 30-minute Ironman match, which again was a lot of fun and a very unique challenge. It was, obviously from a physical standpoint, and also just kind of keeping people's attention in 30 minutes. So it's funny here. I meant for this to be a lot quicker. I completely underestimated like how much effort it would take to loosen the top rope. So, because I think Cody just did that the other day with Cena, and he was a lot more efficient than I am here. This is kind of time standing still, and I can tell too. Like, I'm dying. All I needed to do was actually just bump the buckle with my chest, which would have popped it off of the hook.
I see.
But I, at the time, was just trying to get the entire thing off. So there we go. Finally did it.
There we go. For the hook.
And if I'm not mistaken, you were supposed to, like, the match that was announced in that Freelance Underground cage match was supposed to be Kylie versus GPA. Is that correct?
It was, yeah. This and I forget what happened. This was also around the time of her getting signed to AEW, so
Mhm.
like there were different circumstances that were pulling her away. Sometimes it was the AEW commitment, sometimes it was kind of the personal issue she was going through. But yeah, the cage never happened. I think that was supposed to be a follow up at one point, but yeah, that never wound up happening.
Okay. I think it was good the way that it wasn't like that was I think a good thing about the feud. Like I said, it was so much outside of the ring too. It wasn't so oversaturated in the ring. Like you guys had your two really big matches, and then even like the one at Freelance Underground, I think it was like you said a unique challenge because it was an Iron Man. So it just wasn't like like you said, you didn't beat the shit out of each other for 4 months straight. Like there was just like enough wrestling to make it great.
Yeah, and again to kind of pull back the curtain just a little bit. So with the hook right there, so the idea is that she'd had the collarbone surgery, and I was attempting to take the hook and kind of like dig in to her collarbone.
Okay.
And the intent was for there to be a little bit of bloodstream coming down as a result of that. But we found out that there's not exactly a lot of blood flow in the collarbone area. So despite our best efforts, there was basically just a couple of scratches and not exactly a lot of crimson going on there.
I'd see the image you were going for, though. Imagine like a still frame of her shoulder bleeding after her surgery.
Yeah, because it looked like I'm basically just trying to dig through the surgical scar, but it didn't quite materialize.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the ending sequence. You're pleading for your life here. I mean, this is this GPA where it's like this GPA had a point. He had like the Thanos like Killmonger, where it's like, oh, this villain's kind of got a point, but then now like in the like you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're like kind of pleading for your life in this moment.
Yeah, and it there's not a lot that I'll put over about myself, but I did love this particular promo because obviously it's an I quit match, so you have to say I quit to lose. And so I build it up and say, Kylie, I'm going to say it. I should have said it a long time ago.
Yeah.
I see the light now, and I'm going to say it. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong this whole time. You were right. I'm a bad guy. So, and then the finish of our first match, I believe the referee had gotten knocked out or something, and she had an opportunity to hit me with the chair, didn't take it.
Yes.
Mhm.
I wound up turning the tide on her, dumping her on the chair. And so we were kind of playing off of that here, where again, she has this sort of gun in her hand moment. Okay, can she pull the trigger or not? I tried to pull my same bullshit, but this time, she's learned from her mistakes. She wipes me out, and then there we go.
Exactly. And this is a really fun Kylie when Kylie snaps, it's a really awesome dynamic because you're like, it's like vindication for the person watching because it's like finally Kylie is kicking the person's ass who like always mistreats her. But then also it's like, oh, has she snapped too far? Like has she gone too? It's like the person who gets bullied all the time and then they finally snap, kind of like,
And here we get the old hook in the eye.
Hook to the eye.
Yep.
And a random string.
Gotta say, great commentary by K-Mel on that. I turned down the volume on my end. That was great.
Yeah. We thought having the commentary on would be a little too overstimulating, but yeah, on all of these, there's great. The commentary really helps tell the story. We encourage everyone to kind of watch these back. I know we're skipping around, but like 100%, this one, the one earlier in the year with Kylie, the Ali match, they're all really worth just like watching all the way through with the commentary.
Yeah, and K-Mel's had various partners over the years, but he's always so good about making sure that there's context and substance to everything that's going on, because he'll do his homework and he talks to the guys beforehand. He's like an encyclopedia about past shows and stuff. Like he's very, very diligent in terms of adding the appropriate context to everything going on. So I've been happy that he's still on the call now. So even when I come back and I do my things, like the way that the world moves and all that, it feels like sometimes some of this stuff has just sort of been lost to time, but I can always count on K-Mel to like draw back to some of the past things that have gone on that have led us to this point that we're at now, and whatever angle is going on.
Yeah, he's a freelance historian,
Yeah,
100%.
he really is.
Okay, so we're gonna jump to 2022. We have 2 more matches to go through. These are a little bit. We've gone through some serious stuff. These I think are a little bit more fun. Yeah, and I'll allow Chris to kind of pull up and introduce.
So this is tag match GPA and Laney versus Buzzy. So this happens on June 30th, 2022. Press start at Emporium. So
yes,
there we go.
So Effie and Allie Ketch, I believe.
Yes.
They're the tag champs. I don't even know if I wrote down the result of this one, so I'll probably see the finish for the first time. But this, I don't think I was at this one.
Okay.
No. But yeah, this is now like it's kind of cool. It's cool jumping around to different GPA eras, so to speak, because now we're in like the tag. Now you and Laney are, you've had your wedding, I believe at this point, right? Or it's close.
Yeah, I believe so. If not, then we're definitely engaged by this point. But
yeah. You're an item. You're a strong item, yes. So yeah, it's cool to see. Now this is just kind of like almost like a different era too, which is kind of cool. An Emporium, different venue, and then you got to do a lot of fun stuff as a tag where you were just kind of being shithousers at certain points.
Yeah, and I believe this one is our first match together.
Okay.
We would have a bunch of different. Sometimes we would face each other. There would be singles matches. I think there was a triple tag with the Bang Bros at one point, but but it's almost always been kind of Emporium centered, which is it's kind of fun in a way. Like it's not a bad thing to sort of have something specific to a certain venue. But I feel like most of our Bussy moments have happened at Emporium. But to me, this is kind of like our defining tag team feud. It all just works, because Allie and Laney have been wrestling each other literally since their first days in wrestling. You got 2 intergender tag teams. You got the evil dastardly ones and the ones that everybody loves. Like it's all just it all just works very well, I think.
Yeah, these Emporium shows. I mean, to your point, kind of like different venues having different vibes. The Emporium shows have been, I know some of them have been kind of like non-canonical a little bit. They're just like more funner. I feel like you can wrestle freer. You can try different stuff. You can get like a little goofy with matchups. And sometimes, you just have a match and doesn't need to necessarily mean anything for a certain storyline, but it's still really fun. And Emporium kind of gives the outlet for that, I think, which is cool.
Yeah, they almost kind of have like house show vibes, where it's
a little bit.
Obviously everything still matters, but it's definitely a different environment. I don't even know if the fans that go to these shows necessarily follow, the month-to-month product. I think they're just kind of there to have a good time.
Right. I think that's a huge strength. I've always said this. I think that's a huge strength of Freelance. And I just think that separates you, I think, from a lot of other promotions is that sometimes you look around and just a majority of the crowd just likes live entertainment and they don't need to know what wrestling is, or like, they don't need to know that like how much of it is scripted and how much is not. Like they just don't give a shit. They're just there for a good time.
Yeah, those are always the most fun shows. Like obviously it's rewarding to do like the match we just watched, the culmination of a feud and fans that have been there for every detail. But sometimes it's fun to just go out there in front of people that don't even really know what they're looking at and just give them a show, just kind of represent pro wrestling to those people.
Yeah. I think we watch maybe a couple minutes of Geoff and then we skip to the end if you want, Chris. Just we're coming up on an hour and a half here, which I've thoroughly enjoyed our time.
Yeah, for sure. And with this one, I'm not even honestly too sure where this one winds up. We had another Emporium match, I believe, where they take the belts off of us.
Okay. So this might have been a follow-up?
This was our first one, I believe. So we're just kind of like lighting the match here. But we do wind up going on to have a pretty extensive feud that ultimately culminates with a that culminates with a tag title match here at Emporium. And I just remember the pop when they beat us was just one of those that I'll always remember. Like the people absolutely blew when they finally took the belts off.
Okay, when they took the belts off, yeah. I wonder if then you might have. This might be my mistake. I might have picked out the wrong Emporium match. Based on.
We had a ton. Like we had
Yeah.
at least two, and then like I said, there was like some triple tags. So like there were all kinds of
Okay.
Emporium matches. So yeah, I totally understand how it'd be easy to mix them up.
Yeah. Okay. So, you, the listener, viewer, etc. This is a good saga to explore. With that IWTV.live subscription is the Emporium Bussy versus Laney and GPA saga.
Look at that.
It caught us. Did you guys ever think about coming up with a tag team name, or did it just make sense because you were just solid entities yourselves to just keep it?
We've thought about it. We gave it all kinds of thought. We like outsourced it, tried to have other people help, but nothing really fit. Like it just nothing clicked.
Okay.
And luckily we're both, pretty much established enough to where you just hear our names and, the interest is pretty much there. So
yeah,
the cool additional, I remember this. She kills us both. There we go.
Yeah, Laney's neck is taking some heat. Oh, this might be it. Is this the one?
So I don't think either. No, I think they might have actually been GCW champs at this point.
Oh, they had the belts. Yes.
Yeah. So we were going for their GCW titles, and then we got the freelance titles involved later on. I think later that year.
Okay.
But yeah, no, all those books, like you can't really go wrong when you watch one of those matches with us because, me and Effie have gone back and forth a lot. Allie and Laney have gone back and forth, and so all of us together, and plus we're all just kind of experienced vets. Like we all know who we are and what we do, so to put us all together, it's usually a pretty professional production.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and last but not least.
Yeah, last but not least, for the freelance legacy title, Brian Keith against GPA. This happens in 2022, November 18th, 2022.
Yes.
And this is at Black Halo, LSA. We're back at the LSA. Let me see. Am I sharing my screen? I'm not sharing my screen yet. Here we go. Oh.
Yeah, that's click no. Yes. That happens a lot. Where you'll be watching something. It's like, do you want to jump to the lot thing that we're showing right now? It's like, no, I just kind of said that 10 minutes ago. I'm still watching what I want to watch. But
we saw there Hank, Nerd.
This was Brian Keith's epic run.
Yeah, he was like I love BK. I think everybody that knows him is a big fan of the person and obviously of the wrestler. But yeah, he'd been doing his thing in Texas for a long time. Like he was a known entity down there. And then I don't quite know which companies started showcasing him outside of Texas, but it like caught fire really quickly where all of a sudden, people just started raising their eyebrows like, wow, who is this guy? And Freelance was one of those spots that really started showcasing him. I remember watching and noticing kind of the arc of the pops that he would get because they brought him out for those first few shows, and he just kind of got like the standard Freelance pop, like, okay, we're happy to be here, we're happy to see somebody. But then it's like you could see the investment happening more and more with each show, where it was like people were now actually looking forward to seeing him specifically, and they were getting really behind like Brian Keith, the wrestler. So it was fun to watch his arc from just sort of like random new guy to being one of the key players in the company.
Yeah, it was like, I want to say it was like 12 people in a row, and every match was good for that legacy title. It was great. I think this probably was what, like, I think this is the same run I'm thinking of. I think you're in the middle. This is it. Like, this is part of it. You're wearing great, absolutely fantastic shirt design. If you're from Chicago, you understand the CTA. It's also a great heel shirt because the CTA is late a lot, and you get really mad at it. And instead of the CTA, it says GPA. So
my two favorite t-shirt designs is this one, the GPA CTA, and the library card.
Yep.
I forgot.
Yeah.
about-
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
like the ones
that
that
was a good
are
one.
exclusively like Chicago. Like obviously everybody can
Mhm.
kind of appreciate it because it's just kind of cool designs, but it's like if you're an authentic Chicagoan, like then that stuff means something to you. So yeah, I
Yeah.
like those ones too.
There's like a Twitter account called like Fire Dorval Carter or something, which is like the head of the CTA.
Mm.
And people just, I remember my wife tweeted at it once. It was like, no buses for like 20 minutes. It was like a bus 22 minutes away, a bus 24 minutes away, a bus 28 minutes away. But it's just like those buses should be spread out. And she like tweeted it at the account. It was so funny. And people were like, what are you talking about? There's 3 buses right there. But it's just like they were being facetious, of course. It was just like, yeah, the CTA. If you've had a morning with the CTA, then I think you're a true Chicagoan, honestly.
So let's take a moment here and just like look at this shot, right? LSA completely transformed, Freelance branded from the stage entrance to the mat, the ring, apron. Compared to that very first show at that we watched at Bottom Lounge,
Yeah, sure.
right? That whole transformation. Um, I just think it's pretty cool to see. We're seeing the kind of stages of GPA, but also stages of Freelance, as how it's evolved, how it's
Yeah.
grown. And we started with a kind of like a lonely GPA here. Now he's well accompanied by Lainey, and I love the gray gear too. So um, evolutions all around.
Yeah, for sure. Even just the Matt Cage show, which was the first LSA show, like it was so dark and
Yeah.
we were kind of almost like hiding the draw that we got that night. But here it's like we're proud, with everything's well lit, the stage, the canvas, the aprons, like it just shows the evolution of the company and the evolution of how well we've done over these years.
And I wanted to do these in chronological order. I'm glad we did. And I think too, like the silver and black is like a much more confident GPA, when like the blue is a much more like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. So it's just cool to see you evolve to it. That's kind of what Chris is saying as well. So
yeah, and this is actually one of our tag sets too. Like I like it just as to wear it on my own,
Right.
but Lainey has a matching set
Mhm.
as well. And so with this match, like I remember it's one of the reasons that I had it on the list is that, like I'd sort of had my time in the sun in terms of like being the champion and the top guy, and then me and Kylie had our feud, and that was, also like a top program. But by this point, like I'm doing the tag team thing, I'm popping up in like some scrambles here and there. So I wasn't quite near the top of the card. And so this match is the main event of the night.
Right.
I don't remember if Ego was the champion or who was the champion at this time, but they couldn't make this particular show. And obviously, you're going to get your money's worth with Brian Keith and the legacy title. So they put me and him in there. And I just took a certain amount of pride in that, in still being able to kind of answer the call when the company needs me. It's like, okay, we need a good, solid main event match to close out the show. And so just the fact that me and BK got to go in there and kind of do our thing, it was cool to kind of step back into that particular position.
right, it's like the old ring. We call on the ringer to come in, and deliver the main.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is actually me and BK's only match ever. I don't think we've had any other interactions, even in like tags and scrambles and stuff. I think this is our one and only.
I saw recently that BK was on My Violent Tendencies.
Yes.
And there was one clip where he was just talking a lot about Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Right up your alley.
Yeah.
Funny what's frustrating about him, and I mean this in a lighthearted way, but like these matches that he has during this run at Freelance, they were all like 15, 20, 30 minute, just classic, unbelievable bangers. And so I saw him recently at Freelance, or not at Freelance, at AEW. And, he's kind of getting stacked up, like his shoulders looking better, his chest is looking better. And so apparently he's like only just now kind of starting to work out, which is ridiculous.
Oh, man.
Because he had the ability to go out there and wrestle unbelievable matches for like 30 minutes, and he wasn't even really that committed to like fitness at the time. And
Yeah.
so,
That's
now
crazy.
yeah, it's ridiculous. The rest of us have to go out here and scratch and claw and do everything we can just to get through these matches. And he just, just shows up at the building and just casually has a 30-minute banger.
You had to give up pizza for Ali.
You're right.
I mean, that was a 45-minute match, but I think all the matches that we've gone through today are anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes outside of that Ali 45-minute match.
Yeah, I think the first one was like a quick 10, but yeah, they've all been like very thorough, I think.
Yeah, and it's nice. And there's always like a certain amount of, if you care about professionalism, like there's a certain amount of pressure that goes into being on the undercard, because you kind of have to get in and get out within the allotted time. Obviously not everybody subscribes to that, and some people just kind of do what they want to do. But, at Freelance, especially because we have a certain slot with IWTV, like it's important that everybody sticks to their times and kind of gets in and out within the allotted time period. But what's nice with main events is that you definitely have more room to kind of spread out and flesh out and like tell a full story instead of condensing everything into 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
So like with me and BK here, we were able to really just sort of do what we wanted to do and not have to worry about rushing through everything.
Yep. Once again, I think that plays your strengths, like the storytelling, the not rushing, like giving GPA more minutes, I think has always been beneficial to the story.
And it's kind of getting harder and harder to come by, because as we get like more people on the roster and we got the kids and we've got these all these scrambles and tags and 3-ways and 4-ways, like there's all this stuff that you got to worry about, all these masters that you got to serve. So when you can actually get a little bit of time to spread out, it's a nice luxury.
Yeah. I think that was the first cram session we saw today.
Yeah, strangely enough.
We're skipping the cram sessions, but yeah, that's a staple.
Yeah, it's one of those that like I'm pretty sure that I'm the first to do that particular move in that particular way. So every time I see it now from somebody else, I'm like, okay, they had to have gotten that from me, because I've literally never seen that before in wrestling. We even got one from Mercedes Monet last year, believe it or not. She did a variation of it in one of her matches. So, sometimes you don't quite understand the scope of like how far some of these things can reach, but even the best of the best are out here kind of peeking in on what we do.
Yeah, there was a couple times. We haven't been on Twitter this whole year. I know you're a fantastic Twitter follower. We've had many interactions before. And I swear, I felt like there was a couple times where like you did a finish and then the next week it was on Raw or something like that. And you were like, do you remember that? And you were calling that out or something like that?
Yeah, we had one. I think it was it was either pre-pandemic or right after the pandemic, but it was actually an underground match where me, Rob, and somebody, Craig, maybe somebody, we had at least a triple threat, maybe a 4-way, but Rob does the Mexican surfboard where he like stands on the guy's legs and pulls his arms and then leans back, and he's like underneath the guy while he's stretching the guy out above him. And so we had I had the brilliant idea to like pin him while that's going on.
Yeah.
And then literally not even 2 weeks later, there was a match, I think on AEW Dark, that had like the exact same finish. And I don't even think that our match had aired yet. So it was like literally just happenstance that somebody had that same idea.
Oh, here's a little Brett.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember there was a phase where you started working Brett moves into your moveset. And I remember I would call that out on Twitter.
Yeah, like it's definitely kind of like cliche with Brett guys to always like do a sharpshooter or a figure 4 on the post or whatever. But yeah, every now and then I'll bust one out just to make myself happy.
What is he? He's big on atomic drops, right? That's a Brett staple. Maybe a backbreaker.
Yeah. Some of the stuff is like kind of general purpose, so it doesn't stand out quite as much. But obviously, if you go for the sharpshooter, people know what you're doing.
If you listen to the episode back with Laney, I don't know if you listened to that one, but like there was a Stephen Wolf, right? Am I getting his name right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. A friend of the pod. He asked a question, and it was like, Brett, if Geoff wasn't around or Geoff didn't know, it was like Brett or Sean was the question, and she still said Brett. But I feel like she's just been indoctrinated.
Yeah, like, and she's it's probably more so just toe in the company line rather than from her feelings, 'cause,
That was a diplomatic answer, I think.
But no, she does appreciate Brett though. Like she's, I think, a genuine fan. But obviously, who doesn't appreciate Shawn Michaels? So if she said Shawn, I wouldn't blame her. But I'm happy that she chose Brett.
Yeah, you can sleep at night knowing that she said that.
And I remember
she came in here with the save, but not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of a fun detail there. So at the start of the match, because obviously we were kind of the big bad heels at the time, but I was trying to tell the story of like, no, I'm going to do this on my own. I need you to go to the back. This is between me and him, just man on man. And then of course she comes in and does the shitty interference later on anyway. So, but it doesn't work, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering why she went to the back at the start of the match, but that makes sense.
Yeah, I was trying to say, oh, maybe I've got some honor and dignity, but no, of course not.
It looks like she brought her gear. Always bring your gear. That's what they say, right?
There she goes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the surprise BK knee is always one of my favorite details in his matches. You never know when that's coming.
He doesn't tell you when that one's coming?
Nope, it's just it hits you and you find out about it the next day, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, look, yeah, standing ovation.
Yeah, I was proud of that one. That was kind of out of nowhere. Like we just, again, like it was kind of a circumstantial thing. Like, hey, we need a main event. This sounds like it'd be good. You guys are pretty hot right now, so they put me and Laney in that position to kind of be one of the featured parts, in a singles capacity, but still being featured like that. And yeah, I think we did a nice little piece of business there.
Yeah, it takes two to tango, and I think at that moment you still had it. Still had that main event spark.
Yeah, for sure.
Not saying that you. I know it's in you still. I know it's in you still, but yeah, even in 2022.
Yeah, and it's nice to be given or have the confidence shown in you to still be put in those positions, and hopefully there's more to come as we kind of explore this next phase of my career.
So, I know you were answering questions and you gave great insight. Thank you so much. It wasn't that bad watching you back, was it? Like, I know you don't like watching your own stuff back, but like, did you enjoy this?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And I think like the conversational aspect of it helps too. Like if I'm just in my own head watching and like listening and absorbing it, in a traditional way, then that probably would have been more difficult. But this was more fun because I get to just tell old stories and not pay full attention to me.
No, you've earned this. It's when the time will come, right, where you get your flowers from the entire freelance community and wrestlers, etc. Until that time comes, hopefully we're there and hopefully we'll support you until then. But yeah, this is our last year and you've earned this. And just thanks for all you did. You took us on some wild rides, some crazy stories. You're just you really know how to twist that needle in the people. I think that's and troll. And I think that's like one of your strengths as well. So we bow to you, Geoff. Thanks for all you did.
Absolutely. And I hope you all you enjoyed this episode and like Charlie said, eventually when the time comes, Freelance will do its part. But for us here at Two Heels and a Face, like this is our way of saying thank you. And in my opinion, like if today, that cliche question of who's in your Mount Rushmore of freelance or even independent, wrestling here in Chicago, the stuff that we've experienced as Two Heels and a Face, you definitely need a GPA up there. So
yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I definitely do appreciate that, and it's funny because this is actually kind of coming at a good time, because like not to say that I'm dissatisfied or anything like with my current position, but like I mentioned before, like things just move so fast. I remember I did a class one time and I was giving people examples of like how quickly stuff moves through the news cycle and how quickly we forget things. And I remember I asked the class, like, what was the main event of night one of WrestleMania, 2 years ago? And nobody had a clue. It's like, it used to be that, main events of WrestleMania, like, oh, you could name chapter and verse, like, oh, it was, Rock and Austin and blah, 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 blah. Like, that stuff used to matter so much more. And now, like, WrestleMania matters for all of 2 weeks. And then you moved on to whatever the next thing is. And so, when it comes to, like, my particular situation here in Chicago and freelance, like, especially being away with my injury, like, it did kind of play with my head a little bit, like, oh man, like, the scene has moved on, and you just feel like you get washed away just by the passage of time and the fresh news cycles and the short attention spans and all that. But it is nice to know that, like, you guys and like I mentioned K-Mel before, and like, there are still people that can appreciate stuff that happened longer than 2 days ago. Like, there are still people that appreciate stuff from not the recent past. There's not just that recency bias, and there's people that can appreciate kind of the totality of what you've done. So no, this was nice, and I do appreciate you guys extending the offer for this.
Definitely. Well, yeah, I'm sure we'll see you soon. I think, like, drinks in order or some kind of catch up as well. But yeah, I'm really glad we did this. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll look forward to what do we got? 10 more of these. So
More.
forward to the Two Heels retirement run here. It's probably just a slight second to John Cena's, but
yeah, Isaiah's, Cena, and then two is the face. That's the order. But yeah, you'll have to turn in for the Isaiah's one too. I think we might try and set that up sometime in September, because I'm sure you're in that at least. I gave him a list of 10 matches, and I think you're in a couple of those. I don't know. We're going to narrow it down. But you'll probably be. We'll probably talk about the triple threat, and you'll get to hear his side of how the script has almost changed.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because when he retired, I actually posted a little like montage in my Instagram story of a lot of the moments and matches that we've had, and it was a ton. Like, I always knew that we were around each other quite a bit, but I had kind of forgotten just how much history we had. We've had ton of freelance history and history elsewhere. So yeah, he and I have kind of been in each other's orbit for a long time now. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think Chris and I associate, like I said, that first night, that first freelance show was always like, I think we associate you three together because of that match, and like you and Isaiah's together a lot, and like you're both like top dogs as freelance was growing. So yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, as we kind of come close, and close out this episode, I gotta ask GPA the trainer. One of the things that Charlie has always wanted to do is to run the ropes. So if you find it in you at some point to allow him to run the ropes before this, but before 300, let me know. We can set that up.
That would be great. Yeah. Well, we'll figure that out. That is something I've talked about on this podcast for years. It's just like, I just feel like running the ropes would be fun. But like, everyone's like, oh, it hurts. But it's just like, that would be a goal of mine.
Yeah, I think we can probably set something like that up. It's just a matter of like location, because like where I train is Villa Park, which is a little bit of a trek. And then the other ring that we use during the week is actually at a private residence. So like, it's not the most convenient to get in somewhere, but even if it's like before a show or something, like we can probably set something up. I think we can make that happen.
Okay. We've had ideas. I remember I pitched an idea. We just talk about it now. I remember I pitched an idea. It was like a charity fundraising idea where people can donate money. And if they donated like $25, that equaled like a chair shot to my back or something like, and it's just like the whole kind of gimmick of it was these two we don't talk shit on this podcast, but like, and I'm sure we said some stuff that rubbed people the wrong way. It's not intentional, but like, the whole gimmick of it was like the wrestlers finally get back at the podcasters and get to like beat the shit out of us. And like how much pain we took was based on how much money was raised. We're in the mood of just like trying to do our ideas. I don't know, but I appreciate you at least offering. So maybe there's some potential there.
Yeah, it's almost like the wrestling version of like a dunk tank sort of thing. Where
exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, just like, yeah, maybe we can raise it for Kirby.
Yeah, there you go.
And like, I will just get. I think like it would just be funny to see me or Chris or both of us just like getting the shit beat out of us for the enjoyment of others.
That is
Why
always
not?
like
Yeah.
a money concept. Like I remember around WrestleMania, there were a bunch of those that were popping up as like all these influencers and whatever would be like, I'm gonna train with Rhea Ripley today, and they take like a body slam and then they're in the hospital.
Oh no. Yeah, maybe we just limit it to like chops and we'll see. Maybe some cardio. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. We can work something out for sure.
Okay.
All right, GPA. Any upcoming shows? Anything that you want to promote? Just as we head out.
Yeah, I guess depending on when this airs, Saturday the 23rd. I'm actually, stupidly enough, I'm pulling a double shot, so I'll be in Indiana in the afternoon. Me and Laney have a tag title match for House of Heat Pro Wrestling in Indiana. Then we're gonna hop in the car, zoom right back to Chicago for the Kirby show. I'll be facing Punk Cassidy there, and then after that, September 4th, I believe, which is a Thursday, I'll be debuting for Second Wrestling, which is another kind of
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
We had the rabbi on like 3 or 4 episodes ago. It's a great one to listen to as well, the listener, if you're still around.
Nice, yeah, for sure. So he's they've been doing good stuff for a while now. We've always kind of talked here, talked there, but we finally were able to solidify something. So I'll be going against David Ali for their championship in my first show
Oh,
there.
cool.
So yeah, so no, we got some good stuff, and then from there, I think obviously there will be another Freelance in September, and kind of stay tuned for what happens there. But yeah,
Yeah.
some good local stuff coming up.
You'll be back in the main event before you know
Well, if I have anything to say about it, then I will be.
it.
All right. We'll close this off by letting you, the listener, the viewer, know that once again, if you heard this episode, might be better if you checked it out on YouTube, right? You get to see all that content. But for any information, Two Heels and a Face, just twoheelsandface.com. That's the best place to go. And we're on the road to 300. So we're almost there. The year's almost coming to an end. 10 episodes to go.
And then our watches ended.
There you go. All right. Well, it wouldn't be us if we didn't say hashtag beat up GPA.
Hashtag BDGTA one last time.
Well, I guess it is tradition, so I'll tolerate it.